You want us to hold? Finish? Sir, out.
That's fine.
Namaskar and good evening. I, along with my colleague, Shri Amar Patnaik, Accountant General, General and Social Sector Audit, Odisha, welcome you all for this meeting. Let me begin with a small apology for the delay in the time given to you, and let me also apologize that the space here is perhaps not sufficient to accommodate all of you. We didn't expect so many people to come here. Right? With that, let me begin the briefing part. In accordance with the provisions of Article 1(1) of the Constitution of India, Comptroller and Auditor General submits his audit reports to the President or Governor as the case may be, for being laid on the table of the Parliament or State Legislature. Audit reports, upon their presentation to the Parliament or Legislature, are public documents. As per the procedure, the audit reports of the C&AG to the Parliament or State Legislature relating to expenditure and revenue from the Consolidated Fund of India or of the state stand referred to the respective Public Accounts Committee.
Sir, excuse me, sir. Sir, we are running sort of red lines, so just highlight
Okay. The reports in relation to public sector undertakings stand referred to Committee on Public Undertakings. The committee examines the reports of C&AG and makes recommendations for remedial action. 4 reports of C&AG have been presented to the Odisha Legislative Assembly today. These include C&AG's report number 5, volume 2 on general and social sector for the year ended March 2013, report number 6 on economic sector, and number 7 on general and social sector, and a report on state finances for the year ended March 2014, Government of Odisha. Salient points included in the reports are summarized in the briefs given to you. CDs containing both English and Odia versions of the reports have been kept in your folders. These reports would soon be available at the website of the Accountant General Odisha at the website address www.agodi.cag.gov.in and www.agodisha.gov.in. I now request my colleague Shri Amar Patnaik, Accountant General, G&SSA, to brief you on the highlights of the report on state finances for the year ended March 2014 and report number 5 on general and social sector for the year ended March 2013. Amar, please.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. The report on the state finances was presented to the Assembly on 29th November 2014. As per the report, we have stated that the state has achieved the targets for revenue, fiscal deficits, level of debt stock and interest payments as laid down by the 13th Finance Commission and the FRBM Act for the year 2013-14. However, disclosures like projection of revenue, consequences of capital expenditure in the medium-term fiscal framework, public-private partnerships, related liabilities and statements of physical and financial assets, and vacant public sector buildings were not included as recommended in the Finance Commission to be featured under the medium-term fiscal framework. Further, government has not prepared the outcome of the fiscal correction path during the period of the 13th Finance Commission. The budget estimates and actuals as given in the report would indicate that the oversight of funds transferred directly from the Government of India to the state implementing agencies is still not monitored. There is an apprehension that it escapes accountability because there is no single agency monitoring the use of these funds. On the revenue receipts side, there is a progressive increase. Grants in aid from Government of India, there has been increase by 47%. Central tax transfers increase is over 9%. Capital receipts have also increased. The public debt receipts during the year have also increased. The point is, the 13th Finance Commission grants, the state failed to meet the conditions like formation of independent local body ombudsman, certification by the C&AG regarding technical guidance and supervision, and empowering local bodies to levy property tax by 31st March 2013 and some other such. And the result is that the state lost performance grant amounting to rupees 382.97 crore for the year 2013-14. Non-release of the 13th Finance Commission grant, though recommended, the state government failed to comply with the above conditions and again failed to avail grant amounting to 219.42 crores. There has been 10 to 14% in 2013-14. The details are given in the report. There have been incomplete projects worth 874.46 crore. Even though the money has been spent, they are remaining incomplete. 190 such projects. The details are given in the report. The trends in debt sustainability reveals that the incremental non-debt receipt of the state had been able to meet the incremental interest liabilities and primary expenditure during the period 2009-12. However, it turned into negative of 619 crore and 4636 crore during 12-13 and 13-14, indicating non-sustainability of debt which needs to be addressed by the state government. Fiscal surplus which was there of 3 crore in 2012-13 has turned into fiscal deficit of 4633 crore during 13-14. The primary surplus which was there in 12-13 has turned into a deficit in 1745 crore in 13-14. But the state still continued to maintain a revenue surplus. Overall, this is the position of the state finances. The details are in the reports which you can go through, and the various indicators of primary deficit, fiscal deficit, and revenue deficit has also been mentioned. Now I will talk about the other report which we gave, which is the report number 5 of the general and social sector. This report was given to the Governor for laying in the State Assembly on the 4th of August 2014. And this report talks about basically disaster management in the state, and also certain compliance audits relating to how the self-financing courses have been run in the state, compliance to the provisions of the Preconception and Prenatal Diagnostic Techniques Act 1994, the e-governance projects in the state, in the various universities, and also income generation of the scheduled tribes in the scheduled areas under various departments. There is also a paragraph on the responses of the state government to audit paragraphs and C&AG audit reports. On the disaster management performance audit which we conducted, we have basically covered areas relating to the institutional framework, measures of preparedness, prevention and mitigation, what is the response and relief, rehabilitation, reconstruction, fund management, and monitoring. We have covered certain samples. The sample size is given in the report. But our findings say that the state government failed to incorporate disaster management into the development planning process due to non-preparation of a state disaster management plan until July 2013. So during the course of the audit only, it was enacted by the state government, prepared in August 2013. The advisory committee, which is required under section 17(1) of the Disaster Management Act, was not constituted in the state until June 2013. Due to non-formation of this committee, the state is deprived of expert opinions and recommendations for effective management of disasters on a continuous and sustained basis. Though the early warning mechanism and communication systems for preparedness were in place in the state, which we have commented in the report, the system was not fully effective due to inadequate staff and non-functioning of various machinery, like the working of the very high frequency network, the ham radio, satellite phones. Please remember that when we did the audit, these were not functioning. They may have been functional later. We also observed that the standards of safety for natural hazards based on National Building Code were not incorporated in the planning and building standard regulation in most of the places except 2 local development authorities, which is Bhubaneswar and Rourkela, out of the 9 such development authorities that we checked. 103 local bodies also did not comply to these building bylaws, structural safety measures, and revised building codes of the Bureau of Indian Standards, even though 43 urban centers of the state are under earthquake zone 3. Though the state government did very well to save human life through early warning system and administration of evacuation to safer places, we observed that more could have been done to save the livestock, which is the main livelihood of the affected population. As per the records of 6 test check districts, we test checked 6 districts, 15.17 lakh population are evacuated. However, government reported evacuation of only 11.55 lakh in the 15 cyclone and flood affected districts. We are talking about the discrepancy in various figures. DDMA Balasore initially reported on 25th November to this SRC evacuating 5.62 lakh people and later intimated evacuating only 3.54 lakh people. DDM Puri intimated on 16th and 27th October about evacuation of 2.11 lakh. Later it was informed to the Legislative Assembly that only 1.83 lakh people are evacuated. Similar such cases. No, this is I'm talking from the report because you don't have much time for the thing, so I just.
Yes.
But after the thing, we'll pass it on. So similar such details are given in the, I will not get into the details because we don't have much time today, but we would like to observe that the data was, the government instructed the chief district veterinary officers for livestock to evacuate animals to the nearest upland area before striking of the fire lane. Audit noticed that the CDVOs of Ganjam, Puri and Balasore, instead of evacuating the animals, simply made the people aware of this, expecting the people to carry them. Thus, 21,305 animals lost their lives in the cyclone as people came to cyclone centers, leaving the animals in their villages. On the distribution of relief, we found several gaps. In Jagat Singhpur, 49.20 lakh was distribution of rice. There was no actual relief distributed during 2009-10. Acquittance rolls come beneficiary list in support of distribution of relief material, valuing rupees 10.26 crore. Reported as distributed to 15.1 lakh people in 3 districts, Bhadrak, Jagat Singhpur, and Angul, affected by the floods in 2007, 8 and 11 were not maintained. Rice worth some 23.16 lakh got damaged due to improper storage in 14 godowns in Dhamnagar, and these details. Further details are in the book. Polythene seeds also we found in 8 GPs and Balasore. They were not distributed. 2960 houses were damaged in the filing, but only 380 houses were fully damaged. But polythene seeds were not supplied to the victims despite availability of 1151 pieces in the stock. Now, on the restoration and reconstruction after disasters, what has been the performance? Our evaluation is that the restoration of roads front, the repair and restoration of 1503 roads were not completed as of March 2014, even after lapse of 5 months of the occurrence of filing. Though the government stated that all these roads have been completed by April 2014, we sent the audit team again, and we found that the roads were in damaged condition as verified audit in May 2014. So you can check in the reports. As far as energy infrastructure, there was delay in restoration of power supply system by 8 to 10 weeks in Ganjam due to non-availability of adequate stock of different electrical material and manpower to tackle the situation and water logging in the affected area, considering the fact that the file in early warning system was there. Drinking water, the Executive Engineer Public Health Division, Ganjam, could not supply a required quantity of water after filing in the areas under urban local bodies where piped water supply was the only alternative for the inhabitants, and in several NSEs to the extent of 6, 8 and 39%. Irrigation canals, similarly 618 out of 1060. 618 out of 1060 works, river embankments, saline embankments, canal breaches could not be taken off for restoration even after 5 months. Minor irrigation divisions in Ganjam 1 and 2 Puri, 21 canal breaches work could not be taken off for restoration even after 5 months of the cyclone or flood. Similar details have been given. 389 LIPs could not be restored as of March 2014, affecting water supply during Rabi season. This is again after filing. Livelihood restoration, 6 months after filing and subsequent floods, no assistance could be provided to the affected farmers as of April 2014 for loss of crops over 5.56 lakh hectares. Assistance to farmers for loss of horticultural crops, similar story in Ganjam, Puri and Balasore districts, though the Deputy Directors of Horticulture assessed the loss to perennial crops of 95,976 farmers in 33,571 hectares of land, requiring 64.20 crores for payment of input subsidy. Only 21 lakh was paid as assistance. Out of 64.20 crore assessed payment of input subsidy, only 21 lakh was paid as assistance. In Ganjam and Balasore, no assistance was given as of March 2014, even after 5 months of the cyclone. In 2 districts, Balasore and Puri, damage of rupees 1.96 crore towards tanks, storage godowns, water pumps and boundary walls of government fish farms were not repaired or restored, thus ultimately affecting the production of seedling of fish and livelihood of fishermen. Similar on the animal care, I talked about it. Construction of damaged houses in 2 test check tehsils of Dasaratpur and Jajpur, 2,547 beneficiaries received rupees 10.24 lakh less money distributed as house building advance. Puri, similar story, no fund was received for the purpose, 24.49 lakh was not paid. Assistance for poultry loss, no compensation was paid to the owners of poultry baths, though 6.36 lakh poultry bird died in cyclone or flood in October 2013 in Balasore, Ganjam and Puri. And most importantly, though after the striking of the filing, general citizens and other institutions contributed rupees 238.71 crore to Chief Minister's Relief Fund. As of 11th March 2014, only 168.67 crore was 168.67 crore was retained without utilization, despite many breaches in the river embankments. Canals were yet to be repaired. Many farmers, fishermen, artisans were either not paid any assistance or paid less assistance. Thus, non-utilization of fund for calamity purposes defeated the very objective of its collection. These are broadly the findings in this performance audit. The conclusion, obviously, is that even though the early warning system was good, the evacuation was good, the post-disaster relief measures, restoration and reconstruction was very tardy, and in many cases not even done at the time of audit, which was 5 months after the filing was struck Odisha. Thank you. We have, I think there are, since the time is short, I would like to say that there is another one on the administration of self-financing courses in.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, in that case, we go on to the report number 6 on economic sector, which has also been tabled today. As far as this report is concerned, I'll only focus on the important points which are appearing in this report. There is a performance audit on accelerated irrigation benefit program. In the course of this audit, we found that despite being pointed out in earlier audit reports, projects still suffered time and cost overrun due to delay in acquisition of land, finalization of drawing and design, and clearance of project site, etc. An important observation is that while escalating expenditure on projects, proportion of benefits likely to accrue declined, and some projects can run the risk of becoming unviable. Instances of calculation of benefit cost ratios not holding good were also noticed. We noticed that the completed minor irrigation project Bartan Seal had achieved a benefit cost ratio on verification of annual irrigation until 2012-13 of 0.68, whereas the envisaged benefit cost ratio for this project was 2.13. Accepting the factual position, when we brought this to the notice of the government said that BCR for all minor irrigation projects would be reviewed critically, and they would make attempts to explore ways of enhancing benefits by exploring alternative and gainful uses of water. We also found an instance of diversion of AIBP funds amounting to about 20.65 crores towards salaries. Financial implication by way of cost escalation and other deficiencies worked out to rupees 3,157.97 crore in 8 major or medium irrigation projects and 13 minor irrigation projects. The details of all this are available in paragraph 2.1 of the report on economic sector. Now I go to the results of performance audit of air and water pollution in Odisha. In the course of this audit, we found that comprehensive environmental pollution index scores remained at critical level, that is above 70, in case of 2 industrial clusters in Odisha, Angul Talcher and IB Valley Jharsuguda. Operation of stone crusher units without consent to establish or consent to operate, delay in upgradation of pollution control equipment by thermal power plants to achieve the desired stack emission norm were also observed. There were deficiencies in monitoring of water quality. Untreated sewage of urban local bodies of the state was being discharged to nearby water bodies, accompanied with untreated effluents of industrial units due to absence of effluent treatment plants. We have specific observations in relation to some rivers, the important ones of which include Brahmani, Nagabali, Kuakhai, Kathajodi, Kisindajor, Mahanadi, and Rushikulya. The impact of pollution in these rivers is available in the paragraph 2.2 of this report. We have also seen some observations in some economic departments, like in the Department of Agriculture. We reviewed the functioning of Odisha University of Agriculture and Technology. In the course of this audit, we found that the 10 agro-polytechnic centers were created without ensuring teachers and basic infrastructure. As a result, infrastructure and establishment of Krishi Vigyan Kendras was utilized for agro-polytechnic centers in violation of ICAR guidelines. We also found that there was a 32% shortfall in teaching staff in these KVKs, as detailed in paragraph 3.1.2.1. Further, we found that in 18 out of 31 Krishi Vigyan Kendras, there were no soil testing laboratories, and of the remaining 13, 5 which had the soil testing laboratories did not have soil scientists. We also had a look at the upgradation of industrial training institutes through public-private partnership and setting up of new polytechnics. In the course of this audit, we found that academic activities fell short of required target because of shortage of instructors, inadequate infrastructure, and delay in getting National Council for Vocation Training affiliation. Consequently, trainees had been deprived of quality training and better employment opportunity. We found that 22 polytechnics were sanctioned to be set up in Odisha in 22 unserved districts. But what we noticed was that in 6 out of 14 industrial training institutes which we test checked, they failed to achieve the targeted employment rates. The shortfall in this achievement of targeted employment ranged from 32 to 50%. In the remaining 8 operational polytechnics, percentage of vacancies in various posts ranged from 62 to 100 at the end of 2013-14. I now move on to the implementation of single window mechanism and financial incentives under Industrial Policy Resolution 2017. Here we found that the Industrial Policy Resolution, which is a policy framework for industrial promotion and investment facilitation, including operationalization of single window mechanism, was introduced in the state with effect from 2nd of March 2007 to facilitate setting up of industries and extension of financial incentives to industrial units. In the course of audit, we found that the CAFs, which is the combined application forms, the number of these forms actually declined.
Kindly repeat it.
Okay.
Those things.
Okay, we found that the CAFs declined, CAFs, which is combined application forms under the single window system, they declined over the period 2010-11 to 12-13. Whereas 87 CAFs were received in 2010-11, the number reduced to 20 in 2012-13, which slightly increased to 26 in 2013-14. We also found that up to 2013-14, the state level single window clearance authority deferred 52 proposals without assigning any recorded reasons, and 62 proposals were not put up to this authority for want of further information from entrepreneurs, even after they being pending for 1 to 8 years. Details in this regard are available in paragraph 3.8.2.2. I now request my colleague Sri Amar Patnaik to give you the important points in report number 7 on general and social sector.
Yeah. Before I go to the general and social sector report number 7, in the previous report we have also covered the self-financing courses, where we have talked about collection of excess course fee than what's prescribed by affiliated colleges, revenue sharing between the university and the concerned PG teaching department not being done properly, result that rupees 6.64 crore of revenue was retained by the universities and PG departments, engagement of university regular faculty by these self-financing courses, whereas they should actually have exclusive faculty used for that purpose, and availability of infrastructure in the affiliated colleges running the SFCs being below standard. 39 colleges did not purchase, out of the 48 affiliated professional colleges that are running 93 self-financing courses. 39 colleges did not even purchase the basic required infrastructure facilities like land, owned building, adequate classrooms, library. And despite all this, all these colleges which were deficient were allowed to run these courses with provisional affiliation by the university, which is extended every year in contravention of the UGC guidelines. Similarly, there are several other observations relating to self-financing courses, particularly in the public-private partnership mode, where we find that between the two partners with whom the Utkal University has signed the MOU, there has been several violations of the conditions of the MOU, and still these PPP courses are being run.
Similarly, other university does not find.
Yeah, we have mentioned everything in the report about the PPP. We have mentioned. I just mentioned it. Then we also covered something on the preconception and prenatal diagnostic technique, that is the Sex Determination Act implementation. And we have found that several of the covenants of the Act are not being followed. Enforcement is very weak, and ultrasound clinics are being run without any registration, and mobile ultrasound clinics are also in operation. And non-finalization of applications for renewal within the prescribed timelines. The absence of regular inspection of the ultrasound clinics, the required annual inspections are not being done, though the District Program Officer Ganjam conducted inspection of 12 out of 42 ultrasound clinics of the district during August 2012 to January 2013 and reported serious irregularities. Yet in all these cases, the appropriate authorities took no action against these erring clinics, nor was the same reported to the state's authorities. Enforcement mechanism, including penalty and legal action, is also not being taken. Non-submission of a quarterly sales list by dealers and affidavits by purchasers. There is a provision that anybody selling the USG machines should be reporting the fact to the state appropriate authorities, which is just not being done, and that gives rise to many of the unauthorized cases of running of the USG clinics, which we have mentioned in the report. And the e-governance projects in the universities, similarly, a lot of wastage we have reported. And there is a paragraph on income generation of the scheduled tribes in the scheduled areas, where we have talked about misutilization of funds, non-utilization of funds, and irregular utilization of funds. As far as the response to audit is concerned, we have delays in the inspection reports and also compliance to the C&AG reports. Now I'll talk about the other report that was presented today in the assembly, and which is the report number 7. And this report covers one performance audit on resettlement and rehabilitation of people affected by industrial projects in the state. And there is also a comprehensive report on higher education in the state. There is a paragraph, there is a small thematic audit on transparency in inviting tender, award of work, and contract management in the rural development work, where we have taken a big sample of various works and have observed what is the system in place. We have also talked about the Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana implementation, the working of the district rural development agencies in the state, implementation of the Mamata scheme in Odisha, and also a follow-up audit on the earlier audit which was conducted of OPEPA, the implementation of the Odisha primary education issue. We had done the audit, given certain recommendations. We have done a follow-up to find out how much they have done and what is the stage of various recommendations. On the resettlement and rehabilitation of people affected by industrial projects, we covered 32 industrial projects during 2006-13. And our observation says that there is inadequate and improper planning of the resettlement work. There is inadequate institutional mechanism, non-availability of the database on R&R activities. The project which was supposed to capture this, the Punarbas, has never taken off, and 1.40 crores already spent on it has gone west. What we found is that the socio-economic survey was not being conducted. The industries are sometimes buying directly private land without conducting any SES, the socio-economic survey. By that, 7 industries directly purchased 726.974 acres of land in 19 villages from private landowners, but SES was not conducted, due to which R&R benefits payable to the displaced people or the affected people could not be ensured. There is the SES reports which are prepared are not even examined by the expert group. The Rehabilitation and Periphery Development Advisory Committee is not functioning properly. The resettlement and rehabilitation benefits. In this, we have an observation that 32 industries in 13 districts, even though they have taken over the land, are yet to pay 187.09 crore to the, they are lying with the collectors to the various project affected and project displaced people. The compensation money for multiple displacements, which was due additional compensation of 2.38 crore and 5.88 crore to 43 and 130 project displaced families who were displaced twice under the Audit Aluminium project and Jindal Steel and Power, were not paid as yet. The extension of employment or cash in lieu of employment, 31.92 crore for various PDFs by companies like Audit Aluminium Project, Shyam Metallic Energy, Odisha Power Generation Corporation, Crackers India, the others are given in the report. They have not yet been paid in lieu of this, cash in lieu of employment to 588 project displaced families. The details are given in Appendix 2.3 of the report. Similarly, self-relocation assistance of 3.38 crore to 490 families have not yet been paid. Non-payment of house building assistance is something that we also have observed. Maintenance allowance has not been paid in to the tune of 1.68 crore to 508 PDFs in 9 industries. Details have been given in appendix. There has been short payment of 6.66 crore. The most important thing is the non-issue of ROR to project displaced families. Although 3,996 plots were allotted in 9 out of 13 districts covering 14 out of 32 industries to displaced families, collectors did not distribute record of rights to 1,304 families. Out of 3,996, 1,304 families have not been issued RORs, depriving them of ownership of their land despite occupation. Similarly, non-provision of adequate benefits in resettlement habitat. Poor cremation ground is not there, colonies are not tidy, health facilities are not available, road maintenance is not there. All these details are given in Appendix 2.7 of the report. We also have observed that the Periphery Development Fund, that is not being utilized properly. 36.48 crore was still lying unutilized with the various collectors, even though deposited by the industries. And in one case, we found collector Sambalpur had incurred expenditure of 11.93 lakh on different heads not admissible under periphery development guidelines.
How much about Sambalpur?
11.93 lakh. Environmental pollution by industrial projects, we have made certain observations that this is not the adequate level of environment impact assessment has not been done and is not being monitored in 7 industrial projects. We also have observed that the required number of the RPDSA meetings were not held in sample districts. Review meetings conducted by the RDC and collectors were inadequate, and there was no follow-up action even if the meetings were held. The grievance redressal mechanism was therefore inadequate, as several petitions were lying unattended. Department conducted review meetings without adequate attention to the R&R issues. So in conclusion, we have basically said that the R&R policy is in place, but the implementation of the same is just not up to the mark, as commented by us in our report in under various paragraphs. Now we have also covered one department, which is the higher education department, where we comprehensively covered right from the beginning, that is right from the department level. We covered the various directorates. We also covered 90, that is 23 government educational institutions, 51 non-government aided educational institutions, and 16 unaided educational institutions, to find out what is the stage of higher education in the state.
Sir, excuse me. One question, and that is a message and impression among the media people, that every year, every a certain period of time, C&AG finding fault with
Can I finish this and then we can have it? Can I finish this? Yeah. So on the higher education side, we have commented on the planning and institutional arrangements. We are saying it is deficient. The surrender of provision, irregular payment of medical allowance and reimbursement of medical claims to Utkal University, grant of permission. We have mentioned that there was no uniform view on granting permission for creating new educational institutions, improving the standard of educational institutes, and bringing qualitative improvement in higher education sector. Why? Because during 2007-12, we found that the High Power Committee granted recognition to 3,018 cases after the commencement or lapse of the educational session. In 118 cases, there was delay in disposal of the application for granting or rejection of recognition from 1 to 5 years. In all these cases, the department granted special permission to the EIs for enabling students to appear in the examination, though there was no statutory provision for grant of such special permission in lieu of recognition and affiliation. 11 private resident junior colleges failed to furnish title of the land as well as site plan and sketch plan, but they had been given temporary recognition. 9 private residential junior colleges received temporary recognition in the first year of their establishment. They continued to function without recognition thereafter, ranging from 2 to 6 years. Several such cases are mentioned in the report. I will not get into the details here. Then we are making an observation that non-linking of the permanent recognition with release of grants. Although the colleges were granted permanent recognition much later, but there is no linkage between the colleges who will be granted the GIA and whether they have got permission or not. The details are given in the report as several cases where GIA has been released though the college has not yet got recognition. Non-initiation of action despite failure in fulfilling conditions of recognition. This is what we have observed, that educational institutions under the regional director Barampur failed to fulfill basic requirements of land, building, laboratory, library and qualified faculty, but no action was taken against them, even though detected by them. Similarly, grant of affiliation, 4 out of 65 junior colleges and 4 out of 64 degree colleges we test checked continued to function without any affiliation for 9 to 27 years after lapse of temporary affiliation, and were conducting examination in absence of affiliation. Similarly, though Section 18 of the OUA 1989 did not permit temporary affiliation of any college by university concerned for a period exceeding 2 years, yet the university is granted affiliation to 24 test check degree colleges given in the report details after 2 to 39 years of completion of temporary affiliation of 2 years. In 52 out of 67 non-government educational institutions test check, affiliation was granted by the CHSC or the universities despite non-fulfillment of infrastructure criteria by the EIs, which we did by physical verification. The EIs are running without prescribed infrastructure. We have mentioned quite a number of them. We have also mentioned about large-scale vacancies leading to high student-teacher ratio. We have also mentioned about lack of oversight in the process of recruitment of faculty. Several instances are given where professors and readers have been without qualification have been appointed or have not been appointed following due procedure of advertisement. Irregular recruitment of teachers in non-government educational institutions has been a matter of concern for us. We have mentioned that 183 teachers in 21 sample non-government educational institutions under the GIA order were irregularly recruited due to non-complying with statutory provisions, without giving wide publicity of advertisement, absence of selection committee, but block grants amounting to rupees 31.01 crore was paid to them. Similarly, skill development opportunities for teaching staff is inadequate. We have also observed non-adoption of the regulations of the University Grants Commission in maintenance of academic calendar, lesson plan, lesson diary, that is the quality aspect of higher education. Maintenance of standards of the educational institution and evaluation of teaching is very poor. We have mentioned about 22% had, only 22% have NAC accreditation as of September 2014. None of the 4 test check universities have NAC accreditation as of September 2014. Out of 495 affiliated degree colleges, only 108, which is 22%, have NAC accreditation. 1.16.2 paragraph about irregularity in promotion of teaching staff receiving GIA. We have mentioned that 461 lecturers were primarily appointed in educational institutions having no aided degree wing and were as such ineligible for a UGC scale of pay. However, they were promoted and are continuing to get the GIA. From 2008 to 14, a payment of rupees 184.66 crore has been incurred. This was completely irregular and avoidable. This is between 2008 to 14. Similarly, irregular payment of block grants has taken place under the GIA order 2009 to teaching staff of aided educational institutions irregularly appointed by the governing board, and the amount is 11.69 crore. And similarly, inadmissible expenditure on GIA on misrepresentation of continuity of post. By misrepresenting that someone was there, this post is a continued post, a payment of rupees 2.81 crore has been made to 15 lecturers. Details are given in the report at paragraph 3.1.16.5. And we have overall said that the internal control system was very weak in the Department of Higher Education. Internal audit was inadequate. And basically, the management of the court cases relating to GIA was also poor. The mechanism was not functioning satisfactorily. There is another observation we have made, another paragraph we have in this report, number 7, a thematic audit on transparency in inviting tender, award of work and contract management to the Rural Development Department. We have mentioned about delay in approval of tender, executive agreements, splitting up of estimates to avoid approval of the higher authority, irregular award of works to L2 and L3 bidders. We have mentioned. We have mentioned at paragraph 3.2.2.6 that 16 agencies in 7 RW divisions did not maintain 36 PMGSY works previously executed by them during the 5-year maintenance period, despite issue of instructions. That is a requirement that they have to maintain these roads for 5 years. But they did not do it. In spite of debarring them from future tendering, which is a requirement, they were, however, awarded 34 new works valued at 74.94 crores. Execution of work without prior acquisition of land is something we have mentioned. Invitation of tender and award of work without physical existence of the work site. We have mentioned several cases. We have also mentioned that performance securities for 61 works submitted by the contractors for consideration of tenders were found to be time expired. Fixed deposits submitted by the one contractor was found to be fake, and 3 bank guarantees submitted by 2 agencies were not genuine. However, no action was taken by the concerned authorities, even though they were aware about submission of fake documents by contractors. Instead of blacklisting these contractors, they were awarded more work. Grant of extension of time to contractors was irregular. Penalty was not being recovered. Expenditure was avoidable. We have given certain cases there. Similarly, on this Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, we have also made certain observations relating to identification of beneficiaries, that the preparation and uploading of RSBY data. We have also mentioned about coverage of beneficiaries, empanelment of hospitals. Under RSBY, we are saying that out of 1,688 government hospitals functioning in the state, only 420 hospitals, which is 25%, were empaneled. And out of 335 private hospitals, only 92 hospitals were empaneled. Inadequacy of empaneled hospitals defeated the objective of the scheme to provide treatment to beneficiaries in nearby hospitals. Similarly, the settlement of claims, we have found that out of 1,84,305 claims amounting to 59.77 crore, only 16,327 claims involving 6.16 crore were still lying unsettled as of March 2013. This is a paragraph 3.3.7.1 you can refer to. We have mentioned about the delay in installation and activation of the transaction software ranging from 30 to 229 days. This resulted in the insurance companies being benefited to the extent of 1.16 crore, as 90,260 of them did not provide any service during this period of delay, but they still collected that premium from these people who were paying the premium. Smart cards were retained by the hospitals so that in future, if the person wanted to go and avail the facilities again, it was not available with them. Monitoring and implementation was not up to the mark. The deployment of staff in the state labor welfare society was not there, and again the grievance redressal mechanism was not effective and adequate for efficient and transparent settlement of different claims. We have also reviewed the district rural development agencies, the DRDAs. Amongst other observations, there is an observation that due to ineffective and inefficient fund management, Government of India curtailed central assistance of 208.66 crore under different schemes because of inefficiency by the DRDAs. We also have found cases of diversion of scheme funds.
What is the figure actually?
We have said that in the sample that we saw, 208.66 crore under different schemes were not given by the Government of India. They were curtailed because of inefficient fund management by the DRDAs. Similarly, in construction of IAY houses, MGNREGS, hostel building for SC and STs, we have made observations relating to their inefficient implementation, resulting in inefficient use of funds. On the Mamata scheme in Odisha, we have said that there is a delay in registration of beneficiaries, there is non-payment of incentives, delay in payment of second and subsequent installments, non-payment or delay or overpayment in some cases of incentives. There are vacancies in the post of supervisors, and therefore, in effect, Mamata scheme is also not being implemented to the desired level. And lastly, we have done a follow-up audit. We have done an audit of the audit that was done earlier of the e-issue project, and we said that the follow-up audit was done, recommendations were given, but we found that the recommendations had not been taken, the action had not been taken on the recommendations in certain cases, and the implementation of the education personal information system could not be developed. The implementation of the geographical information system, a software developed by the Odisha Construction Corporation, contained errors, wrong depiction of location, missing photographs of students, which basically rendered the GIS unfit for use by the top management of OPEPA. Now, mind you, these observations were made by us 2 years ago, and still the position continues. The development of error-prone and incomplete GIS software, which could not be put to use, resulted in unreliability of data and rendered the entire expenditure which has been incurred of 2.15 crore on development of e-Shisu totally infructuous. Similarly, the unique child ID has not been allotted. There are still in the system, the child tracking system, each child should have unique ID. But there are cases we found where unique child ID is not there, multiple child names mapped to single child ID. Single child ID but still having multiple names. Similarly, weak application controls, so the data quality overall of the e-Shisu, which is being implemented by OPEPA over such a long period of time, is not very reliable. It is inaccurate, and it failed the very purpose of tracking each child's education. Duplicate child records in the child tracking system is a matter of concern, because we find that these duplicate child records are direct implication on government exchequer insofar as midday meal, free textbook, uniform, etc. are concerned, besides wrong reporting of total figures impacting the planning process. The child tracking system, which was supposed to be updated, was being updated in an irregular fashion. The annual updation was being done in an unauthorized back-end operation, leading to unreliability of data, and security and backup controls were still inadequate. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any questions? If you
Sir, one thing, so I must tell you, after you are giving certain data and more profusely, that one thing, sir, I must tell you, that what is the unbundled gifts of the Odisha state and the body? The economic priority on which sector? It is not meant for the covenant society.
I didn't get the question.
So one thing, but you have found the unbundled gifts in economic sectors.
No, I get the point. What you're trying to say is the areas of concern in overall areas of concern in the economy. So we have mentioned in the state finance report that earlier the capital expenditure used to be a matter of concern because it was very low. But when we have the period of report, we have said that the capital expenditure has picked up. But we are saying that all the other indicators of fiscal fiscal deficit, or primary deficit, from a surplus situation, they are coming to a deficit situation, which basically means that the trend is changing, and so could be possible that there are difficult times.
Sir, in any case, the e-Shisu project is completely failed in your observation.
No, we didn't say that. We have said that the e-Shisu project, we had audited it earlier, I think in 2010. We had given certain observations for improving the system. We try to follow up the audit. This is a trend that we have started now, to follow up on our audits, and we find that the recommendations, if they would have been implemented, the system would have become much better. But what has happened is that these recommendations have not been implemented, with the result that the errors still continue in the results, errors still continue in the child tracking system, and so the system, which is supposed to deliver it's a computerized system, so it should completely give error-free kind of a result. It is not happening.
We have 3,275 internal details are not settled. What you have said in your report.
In the RSBY.
Exactly. What is the next course of action of C&AG in this period?
as Principal AG said, it goes to the Public Accounts Committee. It is available in the public domain. People who are affected by it can follow their own course of action.
Mr. Patnaik,
PSC also.
I am representing a Odia TV channel. I am representing, so I am compelled to ask you in Odia, please. I have a question to you.
Just 1 minute.
So out of PSC 626 recommendations, you are telling me about the PSC, but still now 51 recommendations are not settled down by the government. You are saying C&AG will do through the PSC and PSC also recommending,
So this is,
but they are not taking care
yeah,
of
this on the PSC matter, you have to address your question to the PSC. You see, we can't open the
Is there any legal steps to take care of?
I don't know. It's a conjectural. No,
Okay, sir. In any case, you have asked for some information from the government, but government did not comply. Is there any case, or again and again after remembering?
No, whatever cases are mentioned in the report. So wherever the information doesn't come, it is mentioned in the report at appropriate places.
We have given in the report the number of cases where the government has not given compliance to our inspection reports, to our paragraphs in the audit report, and also to the PSC recommendations. That is available.
Patnaik sir, February 1st week आपण secretariat जाइथिले regarding home department commissioner police रो audit पाए किंतु आपण को cooperation मिलिला नाही आपण resentment show करी करी आस्थिले ये खबर मीडिया पाखरे अछि but though we can't substantiate it, but what is the truth?
EU press conference this press conference we are confined to this report. So
Yes.
we will not talk about some audits which are already going on and ongoing, and you will come to know about it in the future because those audits, we have several audits ongoing. So we will come to know about in future reports.
Sir,
But as he said, any kind of fact of non-cooperation or non-furnishing of reply gets mentioned in the audit report. So you will come to know.
sir, with all efforts of C&AG, Government of India, and all these things, state government is not complying, and you are also making so many allegations. They are not complying properly, or then that again and again you are following the matter. Still, there is no response from the state government. Actually, what will happen? You will give to PSC or anything. So, the state, the people of the state, they need the result at least. What AG will do, and how the state government will rectify their faults at least.
Let me correct the facts a little here. When I talked about the accelerated irrigation benefit program, I did mention that the state government had responded and the state government had committed to take corrective actions. We do find that there are instances where the government constructively responds and promises to take corrective action. Wherever there is something where the action is pending, the reports of the C&AG go to the Public Accounts Committee where this further action is watched.
In fact, I would just completely agree with him that it is not that no action is taken. You are aware of the fact that a lot of action is taken, thanks to all stakeholders who are involved. But it's a continuous process of improving governance, so everybody is just doing their duty, doing their job.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
For the coverage society.
I didn't get the question.
One thing, you have how the unbundled gifts in economic sectors.
No, I get the point. What you are trying to say is the areas of concern in overall areas of concern in the economy. So we have mentioned in the state finance report that earlier the capital expenditure used to be a matter of concern because it was very low. But when we have the period of report, we have said that the capital expenditure has picked up. But we are saying that all the other indicators of fiscal fiscal deficit, or primary deficit, from a surplus situation, they are coming to a deficit situation, which basically means that the trend is changing, and so could be possible that there are difficult times.
Sir, in any
So
case,
the
you
ESSA project is completely failed in your observation.
No, we didn't say that. We have said that the ESSA project, we had audited it earlier, I think in 2010. We had given certain observations for improving the system. We try to follow up the audit, and this is a trend that we have started now, to follow up on our audits, and we find that the recommendations, if they would have been implemented, the system would have become much better. But what has happened is that these recommendations have not been implemented, with the result that the errors still continue in the results, errors still continue in the child tracking system, and so the system which is supposed to deliver it's a computerized system, so it should completely give error-free kind of a result. It is not happening.
So still now 3,275 internal reports are not settled. What you have said in your report.
In the RSBY.
Exactly. What is your next course of action of C&AG in this regard?
As Principal AG said, it goes to the Public Accounts Committee. It is available in the public domain. People who are affected by it can follow their own course of action.
So if you look at PSC also, where are
Representing here,
recommendations?
Sorry,
Odia TV channel I am representing, so I am compelled to ask you in Odia, please. I have a question to you.
this one.
So out of PSC 626 recommendations, you are telling me about the PSC, but still now 51 recommendations are not settled down by the government. You are saying C&AG will do through the PSC, and PSC also recommending,
So
but they are not taking care of.
On the PSC matter, you have to address your question to the PSC. You see? We can talk on behalf of.
Is there any legal steps to take care of?
I don't know. It's a conjectural, right? No.
okay, sir, in any case, you have asked for some information from the government, but government did not comply. Is there any case, or again and again after remembering to the government?
No, whatever cases are mentioned in the report. So wherever the information doesn't come, it is mentioned in the report at appropriate places.
We have given in the report the number of cases where the government has not given compliance to our inspection reports, to our paragraphs in the audit report, and also to the PSC recommendations. That is available.
Patnaik sir, February 1st week रे अपन secretariat जाइथिले regarding home department commissioner police रो audit पाए किंतु आपण को cooperation मिला नहीं आपण resentment show करिकरी आस्थिले एक हमर मीडिया पाखरे अछि but though we can't substantiate it, but what is the truth?
You our press conference this press conference we are confined to this report, so we will not talk about some audits which are already going on and ongoing, and you will come to know about it in the future, because those audits, we have several audits ongoing, so you will come to know about in future reports.
Sir,
But as he said, any kind of fact of non-cooperation or non-furnishing or reply gets mentioned in the audit report, so you will come to know.
Sir, with all efforts of C&AG, Government of India, all these things, state government is not complying, and you are also making so many allegations. They are not complying properly, or then again and then again you are following the matter. Still, there is no response from the state government. Actually, what will happen? You will give to PSC or anything. So, the state, the people of the state, they need the result at least. What AG will do, and how the state government will rectify the faults at least.
Let me correct the facts a little here. When I talked about the accelerated irrigation benefit program, I did mention that the state government had responded and the state government had committed to take corrective actions. We do find that there are instances where the government constructively responds and promises to take corrective action. Wherever there is something where the action is pending, the reports of the C&AG go to the Public Accounts Committee where this further action is watched.
In fact, I would just completely agree with him that it is not that no action is taken. You are aware of the fact that a lot of action is taken, thanks to all stakeholders who are involved. But it's a continuous process of improving governance, so everybody is just doing their duty, doing their job.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Highlight